Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, December the 18th, 2024, and it is 6:01. Pursuant to the Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of Somerville will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of this agenda. Tonight, joining us from staff from the Parking, Planning, and Zoning is Andrew Graminski, and Emily Hutchins will be coming on later. Also, your Zoning Board of Appeals team, we have Ann Brockelman, she's our vice chair, Ann Fullerton, Zach Zaremba, Cece Adaglian, and Brian Cook. And Brian will be, I am appointing Brian the clerk for tonight's meeting. I am Susan Ortano, your chair, and welcome you tonight. Thank you for joining in. First thing on the agenda tonight, Mr. Clerk, would be approval of minutes.
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes for the November 20th, 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting.
Is there anyone that had a comment? I should have asked this first, perhaps, about the minutes, or are they all acceptable to everybody? No comments? No. Seeing none, may I have a second, please, on the motion?
Seconded.
Seconded by Zach Zaremba. All in favor of approving the minutes of November 20th, 24 as printed, say aye. Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Cece Adaglian,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show that it was voted in unanimous approval. Now, let me see something here. What do we have tonight? We have 4 plus the alternate. So let's say on the public hearing for the first one, we'll have Cece a vote on that tonight, okay? There'll be, what am I doing that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there'll be 6. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Okay, Mr. Clerk, I
Yes.
believe this case has been open before, so we'll just 200 Inner Belt Road, ZP 24-000094. Are you here?
This is Andrew speaking with the Planning Division. If you are the applicant, can you please use the raise hand feature so I can promote you? All right, I'm promoting an Adam Weisenberg.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Adam. Would
Thank
you
you.
tell us who you are and how you're involved in this case,
Sure.
please?
Sure. My name is Adam Weisenberg. I'm with Nixon Peabody, and we're the law firm representing the property owner. The property owner is named NRL WSC 200 Innerbelt Property LLC. And as that indicates, the property is located at 200 Innerbelt Road.
Great, thank you. We opened this on December the 4th, 2024, but we did not do the presentation. So you're
Right.
welcome to kick us off if you're the guy that's going to do it.
I am. Thank
Okay.
you very much. May I show my share my screen? Is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, Andrew will help you with that. Andrew?
This is Andrew speaking. Adam, you should have ability to share your screen.
See it. Am I looking in the? Oh, there it is. Sorry, my apologies. Okay. Great. So what I'm showing here is what we're here for tonight, which is a sign. It's a monument sign. It would be for the anchor tenant at 200 Innerbelt, which is Form Energy. Form Energy, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are a green tech company, Somerville born. And I think that there's a great affection between Form Energy and the city. Form very much likes being in Somerville and so forth, and we understand that the governor attended the opening and all of that. So this is a sort of this is a happy opportunity, hopefully, to make Form Energy literally on the map, if you will, in terms of a sign. The request is for a monument sign that would just identify them. It would be at I have to switch to this. It would be in this location, which is right at the entrance to the property. Interbelt Road dead ends, actually, at this point. And this dotted line is actually the perimeter of the roadway. You can see that our sign is on the private property here in a landscaped area. And at the outset, I want to emphasize that the intent in designing the sign and in placing it in this location was to be sensitive to the objectives and so forth of zoning. The situation is a little unique because monument signs are not included in the list of approved signs. They're not included on the list of types of signs that that are prohibited, you know, flashing and all of that, but they're also not specifically listed. So there's a provision that says if it isn't listed, then it's not permitted as a right. So that's why the application is here, to allow this type of sign to be here. The front door of the site, this door that you see down here is not the front door, that is a side door. And the front door is down at this end. Let me see if I can bring up the can you see this plan? This is a survey plan. Shows the property, and the front door is down at this location. Is that visible?
This is Andrew speaking.
No.
Adam, we're not seeing that screen.
Not yet.
Not seeing that. All right, so new share. Yeah, that's what I wondered. Okay, here we go. All right, now I think you should see it says survey drawing.
Yes.
Okay, great. This shows where the front door is. So it's halfway down the building, and the road does not extend that far, right? The road comes up to here. This is where the entrance is. This doorway here is an exit. I understand that was not clear. Mr. Gruminski's initial memo assumed that that was the front door. So our apologies for any miscommunication on that one, but this is in fact the front door. And so when someone is coming down the road and wants to see where Form Energy is, it's just not apparent at the angle that you come from and so forth. And the monument sign is is what we felt was appropriate to provide that. And I guess I would say, by way of context, when you're coming down Interbelt Road, you go past more than 20 other monument signs on Interbelt Road. I mean, that is what is used. I mean, we recognize that this is an older industrial area, and the city has, if you will, sort of upgraded its standards for signs, and they're intended, obviously, for areas that are somewhat more urban than this location happens to be. But that is what people would be looking for, frankly, as they come to the site. They would be looking for a monument sign, some sort of indication that this is where the party that they're looking for is, that Form Energy would be here. And so that's the reason for the choice of a monument sign here. And we believe we also meet the requirements for a variance in this site. So the first, this is hardship requirement, and the first requirement is that there are special circumstances related to the shape or topography of the parcel of land or unusual character of an existing structure, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which the land or structure is located. We believe we meet this squarely, though. The shape of the building, the location of the front door, where the street is and where the entrance are unusual and unique characteristics of the building and the land that meet this requirement. And to the extent that the original staff member memo took a contrary position, we respectfully disagree. There was a suggestion that we could do various other types of signs here. And again, we respectfully disagree with that. We sent an updated memo in support of the application on November 22nd that laid all this out in detail. I don't know if the board wishes me to go into all of those details or whether we can return to it if there are questions or how you would like to proceed with respect to that. I can go into whatever level of detail you'd like about that.
Anybody want Mr. Weisenberg to go into that now, or do you want to wait till it? Yes, Brian Cook, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like the Mr. Weisenberg to finish the argument about the three criteria that we must
Sure.
Yes.
consider.
Thank you.
So he gave us criterion one,
Yep,
but it would be
two
helpful
more.
to hear the positions that they have on criteria 2 and 3.
certainly. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Brian.
Okay,
Can-
the second, I'm sorry. You
No,
ready?
go ahead. Yep.
Okay, thank you. The second hardship variance requirement is that a literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance would result in a substantial hardship. Okay, so without the monument sign, it will be difficult for people to find where Form Energy is. As I noted before, the front entrance of the building is at an angle. The monument sign is the way that we can identify Form Energy there where people will be when they come to the end of the road. Their GPS says, well, you're at 200, but okay, wait a minute, is this the right building? How do I, and so that sign will tell them. If we can't put that monument sign there, the visitors will have trouble finding the building. And beyond that, we think Form Energy, frankly, as a business owner, has a legitimate interest in being visible there as well. And it would diminish frankly, their desire, the attractiveness of the building to them without this sign. We're mindful of the fact that they have a 3-year lease. We want to keep them in the building. And if we're not able to get this monument sign, that will be a concern of theirs that would make them want to look elsewhere and not feel particularly welcome. The third hardship requirement is that the variance, if granted, would neither cause substantial detriment to the public nor nullify or substantially derogate from the intent and purpose of the commercial industry district, that's our district, or the zoning ordinance in general. We argue that the variance here has no adverse public impact whatsoever. The monument sign will appear at the end of a dead-end road in the commercial industry area where there are other monument signs and that people will be looking. So it's not going to be as if we had a big sign visible from all over the city. And it will frankly fit in and actually better the appearance because not all of the other monument signs are, if we may say so, as attractive and well designed as this one. So we actually think that it fits in and improves, if you will, the area. The the sign, which I'd just like to turn to, if I may, conveys the image that Form Energy wants to convey here, and we think that's a plus and part of the purpose of the sign ordinance. If you look at what the purposes are, it's to provide property owners and tenants reasonable and effective means of identification and the business that they're in and so forth. Regulating the size, location, physical design, and so forth is before the board tonight. You can see there are dimensions on here, and you can see the details and so forth. So, you know, if there are any concerns or comments about the appearance of the sign, we can address those. But as contemplated in the sign ordinance, you have the ability to regulate that. To preserve the cultural significance of architectural resources for the enjoyment and enrichment of the community. Again, this is a commercial industry area, and this fits in or betters that. To protect against the adverse impacts of visual clutter and excessive and or confusing signs. Again, I apologize that I'm repeating myself, but again, we think this is an improvement over what's in the vicinity. And then finally, to promote legibility of the urban environment. That's exactly what this does. Someone coming along Interbelt Road to this area, I mean, the legibility is increased because they clearly mark, this sign would clearly mark Form Energy's location. So, and certainly granting the variance doesn't derogate from any of those purposes. I guess the final point that I would make is it doesn't contain any of the features that are prohibited under section 10.86B. You know, flashing moving signs, signs that emit sounds, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We've been careful to design this in a way that we feel is respectful of the intent and purpose of the sign ordinance and of the zoning ordinance in general. That, I think, concludes what I had planned to present. I'm happy to answer any questions and provide any further information as the board wishes.
Great, thank you very much. So we'll open it up to the board. Well, actually, first, is there usually we go right to the public. So, but I would like to ask anybody, was there anything in particular you wanted to ask Mr. Weisenberg at this point? Nobody? Okay. So Andrew, I'd like to open up to the public to see what comments we're getting, if any, from people. Would you take
This is
care of
Andrew
that?
speaking. Chair Fontano, I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised. Though those in the public who would like to comment, please use the hand raise feature and we will unmute you. Chair Fontano, this is Andrew speaking. Still not seeing anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, we will keep the public portion open for a little while and open it up to the board for some of their questions. Look, can I see the board, please? Who's coming on board, signing on?
Should I stop the share?
Yeah, let's do that. We can go back to any samples that the board needs to see. Ann Fullerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Weissenberg, what percentage of the building does Form Energy hold the lease for?
I don't have that information at hand. I know they're the anchor tenant, and I believe it's 100,000 square feet, but I don't have the total building area. That's a very substantial portion of the building, however. I
Yeah,
can get back to you with a more specific answer if needed.
my question is born because while I do think they need a way for guests to find the building, I guess I'm wondering, are the three other tenants of the building also going to be looking for a signage element as well? How impactful is our decision on the tenancy of the building?
My understanding is Form Energy is a new tenant. This is their request for signage. We're making site improvements and so forth, and that there are not other requests that we have from other tenants who have been in the building for some period of time. So at this point, I'm not anticipating that we come forward with any further requests.
Thank you.
Did I see somebody else's hand? My question is for staff. Mr. Weisenberg mentioned other signs along the road. And some of them he said are not in great condition. What happens when they're dilapidated and they have to change to get a new sign? Are they grandfathered in with the monument sign, or might they have to come under scrutiny with the new zoning? Do you know that yet, Andrew?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. This is Andrew speaking, Planning Preservation and Zoning Case Planner for this project. Signs are vested once they've been existing, even with new zoning and then once, let's just say a sign wants to be replaced, it can be done in kind as long as sort of the existing business is still there. Let's just say a business leaves and a building remains vacant for, I believe, 3 years, and someone comes back and asks for the same sign, that would not be allowed in that case.
Right. Right.
So as long as it's a pre-existing non-conforming sign, that it can remain and it can be replaced in kind, meaning that the dimensions have to be exactly the same and no new non-conformity is being created.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And this sign, it doesn't light up at all? Mr.
No,
Weisenberg? No.
no.
Might you be putting a light on it from the lot for the winter months?
I understand that there is a sign, I mean, not a sign, a lamppost
Yeah.
immediately adjacent to it. So my understanding is that's where the illumination comes from.
Good, okay. And let's see. Yeah, I was thinking about this because I work up in Lexington, and there's a lot of industrial parks up there and office parks, what have you. And they have a lot of, all their signs are very small. They'll give you directions and they all match. So that was the only when I was watching your sign and thinking about it and knowing that it would be non-conforming, but I know there's others in the neighborhood. I didn't know how long they'd last. And then Ann Fullerton asked my question about people in the building. Are they going to want to have a sign, and what kind of sign? Now, will you have are you requesting another sign like in front at the door attached to the building that's more like a marquee that would say that you guys are in there? Is there anything like that now for the other how do the other businesses in that building identify themselves?
I haven't been at the building in a while, so I apologize. But there are identification signs, that just on the side of the building that don't require any relief
Okay,
at the front door that say where people are and so forth. So, for example, my wife and I went over to the Harvard Fog Museum has some space there. And when we went there, you just go to the front door and you can see who's in the building.
yeah, yeah,
But, that's not a prominent tenant.
okay, all right. Anybody else have any comments? No? So we're gonna close the public portion, please. Mr. Kaminsky, Andrew, whatever, here we go. And open it up one more time. Are you folks ready to vote on this evening? And you feel the criteria has been met for the 3 points to go for or against? Are we looking in favor? Does everybody want to pass this tonight? Yep, yep, yes. So, okay, we have to help our clerk tonight then for his motion with the criteria.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I've drafted language, so if you
Yes.
would like me to read it and see if the board is finding it acceptable, then I can do that.
That sounds great to me. And of course, our staff people are on, so they'll keep us on the straight and narrow, I'm sure. Go ahead, please.
Okay. And most of this comes from the language from the applicant for relief. For criterion 1, the existing structure in relation to the shape of the land is set back from a dead-end street, and its main entrance is located in such a way that makes it impossible as a practical matter to install a permitted sign that will sufficiently identify for the public Form Energy's presence at this location, and would not, as the section of the zoning ordinance states, otherwise provide property owners and tenants reasonable and effective means for identifying street address, business names, etc. That's criterion 1. Criterion 2, substantial hardship exists with respect to the inability to have a sign that appropriately reflects Form Energy's presence, which would reflect poorly on Form Energy, diminish Form Energy's perception of the attractiveness of the value of the property, and thereby necessarily harm the owner. Criterion 3, there is no detriment to the public nor substantial derogation from the intent and purpose of the commercial industry district or the zoning ordinance in general, because the surrounding area already includes several similar signs. The visual impact of the sign will not diminish the view of the dead end of the street and will enable the applicant to better meet the aims of the applicable section of the zoning ordinance.
Everybody happy with that? Anybody want to add anything to his 3? No, I think it's good too. Okay, so without further ado then, Mr. Clerk, would you make the motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. In the case of 200 Interbelt Road, ZP 24-000094, I move to approve the hardship variance for zoning relief for NRL WSC 200 Interbelt Road, Interbelt Property LLC to install a non-compliant sign in the commercial industry zoning district based on the findings as previously discussed in accordance with the criteria specified in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ian Brockelman. All in favor? Please say aye. Cece Diglian,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Brian Cook.
I don't have a vote. It's your vote.
Okay,
Madam
that's right. Okay, aye. And Susan Fontano, aye. I did, Ann Fullerton, yes? Did I catch you, Ann? Great. So let the record show, all the members of the board voted the affirmative. Good luck to you, Mr. Weisenberg. You go back to your clients now, make them happy.
I will. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Good
All
night,
right,
everybody.
thank you. Good night. Okay, next on the agenda here is 299 Broadway. Good job, Brian. Thank you.
This is Andrew speaking. I'm seeing an Adam Dash with their hand raised. I'm going to promote them to panelist. I also see Scott Lombardi with I see 2 Scott Lombardis with their hand raised. So I'm going to ask Mr. Dash, which are they different people, Adam?
There are. We need to promote Darcy Jameson,
Robert Korf, Scott Lombardi, Tony Sanchez, and Brent McDonald, please.
It appears some folks in your team, Adam, came in under the same name.
I can't speak to that because we're not in the same place.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'll need to recuse myself from this case.
okay. So we've got Brian in. So we still have our full board. So let's see, what do we see? Do I see anything lighting up here? We have Scott Lombardi,
Brent is here. If somebody
Adam, of
else, yeah.
course,
Andrew, if
Adam.
somebody else is here under the same name, maybe you could just promote them both names.
Brett.
maybe.
This is Andrew speaking. Yes, it's I'm promoting at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Brett McDonald. All right,
Sorry.
there it is. Scott is a young lady and Scott is a gentleman.
That is Darcy Jameson under Scott's name at the bottom there.
Darcy, what?
Jameson?
This is Andrew speaking. Adam, I don't know if others are experiencing this, but you seem a little muted.
I think you're the only
He
person
is.
ever to say that to me, but I will.
Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah, let me see about the audio settings. Sometimes they, yeah, somehow my microphone got bumped down unbeknownst to me. Is that better?
Adam Dash. Yes,
All
to
right,
me it
excellent.
is.
Great.
So will the real Scott Lombardi stand up? Does Scott have a beard?
Scott has a beard, yes. Darcy
Well,
fixed her name, so.
Thank
that's
you.
good.
Darcy's all set, but we still have another Scott here. To
Yeah.
the
Oh,
two of them. We have
well,
Scott
I
Lombardi with
changed
the
the name.
beard. And then we have another gentleman with his watch up in the air, black watch.
I
Oh,
changed it to Tony
Tony
Sanchez.
Sanchez, there he goes, all right.
I think the only
you-
person we're missing is Robert Korf. Is he coming on, Scott? Is he here?
Yes, I'll message him.
All right.
So, we don't need, this has been opened and voted on and we know basically, you know, I hate that word basically, but we know what you're up against and what you're doing. So you don't have to do a big presentation, Adam. You just kind of highlight what you really want to focus on tonight for us. You know, with the fitness center and the moving a few things around and the numbers, that'd be appreciated.
Sure. Here's Robert Korf coming in as the fourth Scott Lombardi. All right. So I will, let me just quickly introduce everybody and then we'll move through it. Darcy Jameson's here from Beacon Communities, Robert Korf and Scott Lombardi from Mark Development. Tony Sanchez is the project architect from UTL, and Brett McDonald is the 40B attorney from Nutter, McLennan, and Fish. I'm Adam Dash, representing the applicants, 48 Grove Street, Somerville. And we're excited to keep moving forward on this great redevelopment rather, of the Old Star Market site on Broadway. Last month, we were before you regarding insubstantial changes to the comprehensive permit for 299 Broadway, mostly focused on the Beacon Communities Building A. Tonight, we'll be talking about changes regarding the Mark Development Building B, mostly. So with that, Darcy Jameson from Beacon Communities will start the presentation. And I guess to everybody who's making the presentation, I know, Robert, you came on a little bit late, that the chair had asked that we move through it quickly. So thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Hey, everybody. As Adam said, I'm Darcy Jameson, Vice President of Development with Beacon Communities. First of all, happy holidays to everybody. And second, wanted to say thank you to everybody for your support last night on some of the insubstantial changes that we made on Building A as our team has been refining its plans. We've been continuing to work really closely with the Mark Development team as they also continue to refine their plans for the entire campus. Beacon has got a lot of work that we've completed. Your approvals have really helped keep us moving, so thank you again. We are still on track for hoping to close late spring, early summer and roll into construction with Mark Development right behind us. And I'm really excited about what Mark Development's going to present tonight. I think that the changes are really insubstantial and really super positive and going to contribute a lot to the overall campus and the Building A residents. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert?
I'm next. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all again. And happy holidays. So
Thank you.
I'm going to take you through, one of the changes here that we're requesting this evening, which we think will improve upon the activation of the Civic Plaza. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a 1,600 square foot retail tenant that's set back from Broadway on the Civic Plaza. Um, and the whole purpose of this design was, to activate the Civic Plaza, to make it a place there'd be a lot of energy there, people in and out of spaces. And although we felt it was a great idea to put retail back there on the 1,600 square feet, unfortunately, all our due diligence to date and talking to the retail community has led us to believe that it's an idea that we don't have much confidence in anymore. And it's primarily because that space is set back so far from Broadway. There are going to be trees out there, benches, there'll be an obstruction of visibility, not only due to the distance, but because of the landscaping that we're proposing back there. And we don't have, a high confidence level at this point that that space is going to be viable for a retailer. So we have an exciting idea on what to do that I think creates a win-win all the way around. And that is on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see that what we're proposing to do here is eliminate the 1,600 square feet, increase the size of the space, and put our campus fitness center in that space. And what led us to putting fitness there is, as both of our designs, ours and Beacon, have progressed on this project, Beacon is not going to have a fitness center in their building, and our fitness center will accommodate both buildings, and we've sized it appropriately to service both of our buildings. We think it makes for a much better integration of our two properties into, what we feel is the spirit of what we're trying to achieve here, which is a campus setting where both buildings are part of the same campus. And it's going to allow tenants from both buildings to have easy access to that fitness area and, congregate and, socialization of the population of this campus, which we think will be a huge, huge benefit here. So what happens is, by increasing the size of that area, we actually lose one unit, which was adjacent to the 1,600 square feet. However, where the fitness area was formerly located, we pick up 5 units. So the net effect is we'll have 4 additional units, and we're going to offer out one of those 4 as affordable. The other change I think that you might be interested in is, you can see, Scott, if you're controlling the screen, maybe you could use your mouse to show the co-working area on the left-hand side of the previous plan. So before we had co-work, or currently we have co-working in that area. What we learned, the opposite of the fitness situation, is Beacon is going to provide for co-working in their building. So we saw that because our ground floor amenity package is integrated with Beacon on an overall basis, we saw that as overlapping. And therefore, what we've done is we basically have swapped out the co-working area for a club room. And we've moved the club room down to the ground floor, and the co-working will be, for building B, will be on one of the upper floors. So again, it's all part of this campus integration between the two buildings that we're hoping to achieve here. And in terms of the activation of the plaza, between our two buildings, we could have, upwards of 700 tenants in those two buildings combined. And, the fitness area is going to get a lot of use and therefore a lot of activity in and out of that space, which will, help with the activation of the plaza along with the retail that we have flanking the Civic Plaza. So I believe that is the sum and substance of everything I wanted to propose to you all tonight. Thank you for the time. And I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tony Sanchez from UTIL, who's going to take you through some other subtle changes that we want to bring forth to you this evening. Tony?
Thank you, Robert. This slide is to show that we are still maintaining the majority of that retail at ground level. So we haven't changed the other areas yet, or not yet, but we haven't changed the other areas, and we're just focusing on that update to the fitness area. This is a previously affordable mix to what Robert had mentioned, adding that additional affordable unit to the mix as well. We're providing some renderings to show how that would be activated, or this rendering is actually showing how what is currently the retail would be obstructed by the Civic Plaza. We will have a lot of trees in this area, which is going to be really nice along Broadway, but you can see that it does block that significantly. There's a key plan at the top to show where these views are taken from. This next image is showing how we're going to activate this. We have a nice double height space that we think we can put some kind of feature element into to draw your eye. And we'll actually program the fitness to be toward the windows. Typically, we put a lot of cardio equipment on those areas. So you're going to have a lot of people using these spaces, and they're going to be visible from the Civic Plaza. We're also showing how that activation would happen at night, and we've ghosted the trees to kind of help provide that view, but the intention here is that this is a really interesting space. We could have murals or interesting lighting to kind of help keep that corner bright and active, and kind of be something that will draw your eye as you're walking through the Civic Plaza, through the Muse, and down to Sewell Park. And then as we go through the upper floors, we just wanted to show those changes that we've made. Everything on the left is the previous or the currently approved version, and everything on the right is our proposed version. So as Robert had mentioned, we're moving the club room down to level 1. We're now taking that space for co-working. And we've also moved the elevator core to just aid in the move-in experience for the building. So those have all been changed per level, and that's what you'll see. That's the biggest change on the upper floors. So we'll just quickly go through those. And then on our elevations, the top is previously or currently approved, and the bottom is what we're proposing to do. We have removed a bay window that was in the original design. As we're modeling our passive house, as we're conducting our passive house model, excuse me, we're finding that having these ins and outs are are presenting themselves as thermal bridges and becoming a little bit problematic in the actual construction of this, or we're assuming they're going to become problematic. So that was previously kind of accentuating the entrance, and we have proposed a larger canopy to kind of show where that main entrance is. As we go to the Muse, we have some material changes. Before it was terracotta panel, and now we're proposing a brick. And you can see we've also have changed some of the fenestration, and that is again due to the passive house requirements that we're very similar to what we had gotten approved for building A. As we're modeling these things, we're finding that these big expanses of windows are causing a lot of thermal bridging in our project. The rear elevation towards Sewell Street, it is a color change and a material change on the portion facing Grant. And then this is kind of that wrapped around part of what used to be terracotta and is now brick. This is the move-in area between right off of Broadway. We're just kind of pulling some of that brick back. It made more sense architecturally rather than have the very thin sliver of hardy panel. We've also have added brick to this portion down here. This is the dog run and move-in area to not only give it some more kind of resiliency as far as materiality, but also because it is a space that will be used by many residents, we wanted to make it a little nicer. We've also have a larger overhead door for that dog run. And then this is within the courtyard space. Previously, we had fiber cement panel and a lot of glazing in that entire courtyard. We're trying to make that experience a little nicer. So we're starting to, we have more of that brick. We're articulating it in interesting ways. So it actually has some more play with light, gives some more depth and dimension. And we have minimize that glazing again because of the passive house issue. And this is the other side of the courtyard. These are some building sections that show how the spaces have changed, or the program of the spaces have changed, but we're utilizing that double height space for the fitness. And as Robert had noted, we're taking that studio out. Now it is becoming an entrance from the Muse to kind of give better connectivity to building A as well. And then what was fitness will now become residential. If we have any questions, we can bring these up, but I will stop sharing so we can see everybody.
Now, when I looked at the building, the fitness center now is on the corner of Broadway and Grant.
No, the fitness center was in the courtyard.
Was in the courtyard.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And that's a private fitness for the people of these buildings.
Correct.
And of course, the Civic Center, and that's all kind of, people might drift in and sit down and stuff. What is when you guys are going over your stuff, what is a co-working area? What is that? What does that mean?
It's a work from home area, so it's not an office setting, but it gives you an ability to kind of get out of your apartment and have a call like this in a space that has good lighting and is maybe more private. So there are usually work pods in there that let you kind of break away, and it gives you a place to work outside of your apartment.
Okay, and club room.
Club room is going to be an amenity that we, typically they have large TVs. They're for gathering, for having events like a birthday party. So it's another amenity for the building that if you need more space or you want a really big TV, you can go there.
Oh, that's nice. Good. And I thought I had one more other question. Wait a minute. It was a term that I read on your reports, and I didn't quite, let's see. Where am I? I hope I don't seem ridiculous when I ask these things. What's a market renter? It's like a number on the end of the waivers, number 30. It comes up that term, building B, 50% of the market, something units. Did I read it right?
Market rate. So building A is 100% affordable, and a portion of building B will be affordable as well, but all the other units will be market rate, which is your standard rental fee or your standard leasing fee.
Okay, all right. And let's see. Andrew, has anybody shown up from the public?
This is Andrew
Do we have
speaking.
anybody for the public? Did we
Well,
open that
I
up
want to
yet?
note that this isn't a public hearing.
Oh, okay,
So
good. All
public
right.
comments not
that's-
required
All right,
unless you would
thank
like
you. I
to.
forgot that. Okay,
You're
good.
welcome.
I didn't want to hold up anybody. And, oh, on number 42, the canopy, they're saying 3 foot, but you're saying you guys only have 2 feet anyway to work with. Is that what you're saying? Or that's what you're gonna use?
Well, the canopy, if it was 3 feet, would be over that property line, so we're keeping it at 2 feet. I think
That's right.
architecturally it looks a little silly too, so we're minimizing it a little bit more.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I thought it meant. I was just reading through some of the waivers. Well, that's all the questions I have. I go up by that corner every day just about, and I'm so glad there's something's happening and exciting up there. It'll be nice for the people in the area. The board, anybody have any questions or comments? No? Great. Yes, Ann Brockelman.
The thing I noticed that I thought was an improvement was the side entrance through the mews. Which you did, the architect did call to our attention much later on in the presentation, but I think that will, allowing them to cut through will further activate that alley or pedestrian, the mid-block cut through. So I think that's a good move, which you didn't really focus on, but in terms of pedestrian access, circulation within the
Yeah.
place, I think that's nice.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't have any comments, I'm sure.
Good. Where's, okay, Ann Fullerton's out, Brian, everybody's here. Good evening, Miss Emily Hutchings.
Good evening,
So,
Madam Chair. How are
I
you?
guess we're good, and I guess everybody's happy with what they saw tonight and heard. It's nice when the whole team comes, you can all talk and answer all the questions. I appreciate the attention you guys give to this project. So without further ado, then I'll ask the clerk to please make a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, my understanding, based on the previous decision
We
of
don't, yeah,
changes that there's two motions to be made.
okay,
So in the matter of 299 Broadway, P and Z 22-092-R3, I move first to determine that the proposed changes are insubstantial and to approve the revised waiver list as enumerated in the staff memo dated December 13th, 2024.
may I have a second on that motion?
Second,
Ann Brockelman, go around, we'll vote. Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Susan Fontano, I Ann Brockelman,
aye.
Zach Zaremba.
Aye.
That's it. Let the record show we had 5 members voting in the affirmative, so that's all set.
Okay.
That's-
Second motion is I move to amend the comprehensive permit decision to revise the conditions of approval to add new condition 52A and modify other conditions as enumerated in the staff memo dated December 13th, 2024.
Thank you. Second, please. Ann Brockelman, second. All in favor, please say aye. Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano. I let the record show that all 5 members voted in the affirmative to pass. Thank you very, very much. You've all been working hard. Some nice new ideas tonight. People in mind, people what they're going to enjoy. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
So much.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
Happy
see you, Adam.
holidays.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays. Bye.
Chair Fontano,
Yes, sir.
this is Andrew speaking. I just want to bring up that regarding 200 Interbelt Road, you designated Cynthia as a voting member, not Brian. Brian made the motion, but wasn't allowed to vote. So technically it's moot. Does that make sense? Brian made the motion to approve the hardship variance, but did not participate in the vote.
Well, but he was the clerk.
Correct. We just need someone else to move. So he
Okay,
can state the motion, he can do that, but someone else has to say so moved. So
All
we need
right.
to reopen it and
Okay.
then do the vote again.
Okay,
okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, catching up on that. That's why we like you here. So where is so how are we gonna do this here? Let's see.
Chair Fontano,
Yes,
could you just hold on while I get Ann Fullerton back into the meeting?
yes.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
perhaps you can designate somebody to immediately say so moved after I restate the
okay,
motion.
we'll have the vice chair take care of that. Thank you, Ann.
This is Andrew speaking. It appears Ann Fullerton's having a difficulty getting back in, so I'm gonna just try to work with her real quick. I technically, we don't need her because you could have both Brian and Cecilia participate if you designated them both.
Sure.
So I guess I'm asking you, Chair Fontana, how you want to proceed.
Now, who are we missing?
Ann Fullerton.
She's
I'm
back.
She's here.
Oh,
She's
she is.
here.
Okay.
She's
We're all
on
set
screen.
then.
That's why I wanted to make sure. That's why I repeated that. All right, so Ann, did you hear what happened?
Nope.
Okay, we have to reopen. And well, it's already been opened. We have to make the motion to vote. Right, Andrew?
I believe
A
you do
voting
have
member
to-
has to move the motion, so I can state the motion,
But somebody
but
has to move
somebody
it.
else has to move it.
Yes.
we're gonna
Now,
have-
real quick, I want to ask Emily Hutchings. Emily, do we have to reopen the case as in say the legal ad today? Like, sorry, the legal ad for the case? Like, do we have to physically state that, or can we just Chair Fontana can make a statement and then make the motion?
Madam Chair, through you, I believe this just being a clerical error can be removed and voted on if we need to address it at a future meeting, we will. But I think at this time it can just be removed.
Okay. So
Thanks,
I'm
Emily.
gonna ask the clerk to go back and say in the matter of inner belts, right? You're gonna do
Yep.
that. Ann's gonna approve that, move that, and then we're gonna go around, and take the vote.
You'll need a second.
Yes, seconded by whomever, okay?
Also,
So Matt talked, mute this, okay.
Okay,
So go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead, please, Brian.
in the matter of 200 Interbelt Road, ZP 24-000094, I move to approve the hardship variance for zoning relief for NRL WSC 200 Interbelt Property LLC to install a non-compliant sign in the commercial industry zoning district based on the findings as previously discussed in accordance with the criteria specified in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10.
Thank you.
So moved.
And Brockelman, so moved. Do I have a second?
seconded.
Seconded by Zach Zaremba. All in favor, please, as we go around to vote. Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano. Aye. Let the record show that all 5 voting members voted in the affirmative, and it so passed. Thank you. Is that it, Andrew?
We are all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you for catching that. Is there any other business before us tonight, or does anybody else have any other business? No? Well, I just want to say that it was a great year. Thank you for a wonderful year. We'll be back in January, kickoff 2025. And I'd like to, I know I'm thanking for everybody on the board, to thank all the behind the scenes people in City Hall, the solicitors and what have you, and department heads. And of course, our little private stash here, our planning, preservation, and zoning people. You're all wonderful, and you keep us on the straight and narrow. So happy holidays to everyone, and Happy New Year.
Happy
Good night.
holiday.
Okay.
Thank you. Good
Thank
We
you,
night.
need a
Susan, you
motion to
too.
adjourn.
Need a
First,
motion to
thank you.
adjourn.
Thank you, Brian. I knew I'd hear from you. Thank you. Could we please
Second.
have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved. So moved.
So, yeah, so moved. All in favor? Brian Cook,
Aye.
Susan Fontana, aye, Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Bye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Cece Daglian.
Bye.
Thank you all. Good night. Good night, Emily.
Bye,
Holidays.
everyone.
Happy New Year.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Happy holidays.
Good night.
Thank